Hello, dear friends, and welcome to this whispered flip through of liberty, the history, treasures from the archives of the luxury department store. For those of you who are not familiar with Liberty, it is a wonderful, enchanting department store in London, just off Oxford Street, opposite the Palladium Theatre. And it is a wonderful mock Tudor building that looks like something out of a fairy tale. You have all of these Georgian large buildings of large marble monoliths, etc., all around, but then you turn a corner and you're faced by a wonderful ye olde building, and inside a enchanting array of merchandise. Let's explore the history of Liberty together as we flip through this book. Something that Liberty is very famous for are its prints. So being able to pop in and get yourself some textiles. They've got some fantastic textile department. Wonderful sheeting. And this is what I mean. Wonderful examples of prints and patterns. I think quite a lot of it is Far Eastern inspired. You can see with the floral patterns, and you can see kind of medieval influences as well. The Liberty's shopping emporium. Liberty, probably London's best loved and certainly its most recognisable department store, started life as a small half shop on Regent Street in 1875. Its founder, Arthur Lazenby Liberty, what a name, opened the business selling imported goods from the Far East. There you go, tapping into the then current fascination with all things Oriental. A phenomenal success, the rapidly expanding enterprise soon became a byword for a very distinct and highly fashionable style of fabric that is as popular now as it was then. Yes, you do often hear of Liberty fabric when you're hearing people talk about haberdashery and craft. Here is a very old-timey advert, I suppose. The manufacturer, Mr. Michael Andrews, Royal Manufactory, Belfast. Mr. Andrews has adjudged the following prizes for his fabrics: the gold medal at the Royal Dublin Society, silver medal at the Royal Agricultural Improvement Society of Ireland, and the annual show at the Flax Improvement Society in Belfast. 2 first prizes being 2 silver medals, apparently. Interesting. So I'm assuming this is his father, or no, this is him starting out, I guess, at the High Street in Cheshire. And this is an image of Old Regent Street back in 1890. Anybody who's visited, I mean, it looks pretty much exactly the same as this, right? You don't see horse and cart, of course, but you'll see people with fairy lights on, little bicycle-driven tuk-tuks. That's the old site, the East India House on Regent Street, but this is the interior of the new shop's carpet department. So when you actually go in via the main entrance, I think this is the main room that you enter into, and it is exactly like this, right? So you've got a lovely chandeliers here, and these it's quite dark. It's very dark Regent Street, a striking half-timbered building. That black and white landmark that is Liberty's Tudor shop catches the eye. With its dramatic dark beams and gabled windows, the architecture recalls the Elizabethan period, but was in fact built and first opened its doors to customers in 1924. A bright example of the mock Tudor style. So mock Tudor is obviously replicating this kind of beamed design of buildings, and I get the impression that it's quite love it or hate it for some people, but you can really obviously tell when a home has been built in a mock Tudor style. It still retains a lot of modern trappings, but I think one of the reasons why Liberty is so perfect as an example of mock Tudor is that it's just gone all out. It's got crests, like arms, and it just looks like it came from that period. There is no expense spared in just fully going for it, fully going for this Tudor look. The new Tudor shop was one of the earliest stores to be promoted as a destination in its own right for both shoppers and tourists. I mean, Arthur Liberty obviously nailed it. I was determined not to follow existing fashion, but to create new ones. And if you think about the position that it was in London, to create a building that looked like it was part of, well, it captures the imagination of why people would come to London in the first place as tourists, right? They're looking at things like the Tower of London and Tower Bridge and the Buckingham Palace and the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben, and there's this idea of kind of Eole really runs through a lot of what makes England such an attractive place for international tourism, I guess. So creating a shop that completely aligns to it. I mean, this is, the imagery here, the iconography and the crest of arms, it is so strongly evocative. And here it is at night. Look at this. Wow. I know one of the things that really people adore about it are the Christmas displays as well. So these windows at Christmas have some fantastic Christmas displays. And I think as well, when Liberty started up, I think there have been some quite controversial displays in Liberty over the years that have added to its fame. But I think this image does a great job in really explaining or of demonstrating how massive it is. It's unbelievably large, right? In this style as well, just fantastic. So this section is talking about the fabrics and the famous prints of Liberty, Eastern influences. Here you go, a lovely print there, Japanese inspired. Silks. It produced these lavishly illustrated catalogues to advertise their products. I mean, that looks like a hardbound, full-on book with all of these wonderful images and descriptions. It's fantastic. Here are some cards, advertisements for Liberty art fabrics and furniture showrooms which appear on programmes for Gilbert and Sullivan operas. So you would go to the opera. I suppose if you were the type of person to go to the opera, you would be very interested in the kind of fabrics that Liberty would be selling. And we've got Liberty art fabrics here and specialities for dresses and furniture. Beautiful and inexpensive, apparently. Schweppes, still going strong today as well. A handbook of dress and decoration. surface is more graceful, more refined, and more suited to its requirements than in any previous age. It has been an educational evolution. Not only has the science of hygiene asserted its right to consideration, but the extended knowledge of the laws of decorative art has refined the taste of the nation, and with the refinement of taste has come the discerning power of selection and rejection. Selection of what is good, rejection of the bad and offensive. That's very interesting, isn't it, in 1904? It's so interesting to see something mentioned here about hygiene, and how it's a relatively new and novel concept, and one to be considered in how somebody dresses themselves. This is a letter from Edward Burne-Jones in 1897, a pre-Raphaelite artist to Arthur Liberty, imploring him to use only authentic Oriental colours and materials in his dressing gowns. It looks a little bit like he's effectively just saying, look, I can't find any genuine authentic gowns from Japan anywhere, so make sure you keep stocking them. It's interesting that somebody is doing that and writing that letter. The costume department, a Chinese silk damask children's dress from around 1910, with a silk fur coat with an elaborate chenille trim from the same period. So fancy. I really, one of the things that I wish would come back into fashion more are all of these just so extra elements of dress. I would love the cape to come back for men. Wow, look at that. That's elegant, isn't it? In 1933, Liberty commissioned a number of designs by Paul Poiret for its model gown salon. This bias-cut ivory satin evening gown with green velvet cascade is typical of Poiret's style, with its emphasis on back detail. Lovely. You do see elements of certain styles coming back into items of clothing, don't you? The directoire style, a wrap front coat from Liberty, heavy black satin with white embroidered detailing, a lot of board anglais and styles like that you see a lot of at the moment, don't you? Look at all of these just amazing prints, and they were block printed by hand, which was a time-consuming process. A Merton printer here is seen tapping the wood block onto the fabric to ensure an even print of the repeat. It's just amazing, isn't it? You just have a whole new appreciation for the process when you see individuals hand making these wonderful prints that are then turned into garments. Lovely stuff. Steel Liberty. Interiors and furniture. Wow, that's an amazing looking wooden cabinet from the turn of the century. So these illustrations here, again, what's so amazing about Liberty, if you've never been, is that you'll find that the interior still looks exactly like this. So the way that you get between floors is either a very small, rickety elevator that I personally don't trust, or these grand staircases. I think you have to be prepared to be a little bit squashed and squeezed, though, because you do have so many people often moving around in the building, and you have to really squeeze past people up and down the stairwells. Some lovely looking side tables and a wonderful panel there. Metalwork too. You kind of get an idea for just the real niche range of individual products that Liberty supply. These amazing metalwork clocks here. Again, taking a lot of inspiration from the Far East in terms of jewellery, and this footed bowl, hammered silver with vibrant green and blue enamelling, evocative of a classical landscape. And look at these, like you could expect an old relative to have something like this stored away in their attic or their loft somewhere. They're similar to Japanese style teapots here as well. Pewter and silver. Lovely tankard there as well with the turquoise. What's that? Cabochons. Don't think I've heard of cabochons before. Some sort of stone, I'm guessing. Wonderful jewellery. The various pendant and brooch designs from the turn of the century, including a gold and matrix turquoise pendant designed by Merle Bennett. I love that. Like a Tudor rose brooch there. And there's almost something, it's kind of mix of Art Deco and kind of Celtic design there almost. Glassware and ceramics. Look at that glass there, that's amazing. From 1885. I think so much of the, just seems like a lot of the glassware and metalware of the late 1800s into the early 1900s has a real, I wouldn't even call it timeless, it just seems that they were ahead of their time. There's such a modern element to a lot of what was produced there that you would see it in a store today like this and you'd think, oh, this looks like something that's been designed by a current modern designer. Very lovely, ornate, distinctive Florian ware ceramics here, designed by William Moorcroft and manufactured by James McIntyre and Co. And a hand-thrown stoneware vase from the Hazeldine range, designed by Moorcroft in 1902. I'm guessing Hazelmere there will refer to, is it Hazelmere in the Lake District? A wonderful part of the world, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Young Liberty, post-war Britain, tired of austerity and rationing, eagerly embraced a new aesthetic, exemplified by the 1951 Festival of Britain, a celebration of contemporary British design and culture held on London's South Bank and throughout the country. Designers keen to experiment created a new idiom of design that was both quirky and idiosyncratic, with vibrant colours and unconventional motifs. They were also beginning to emulate the contemporary art that was being produced, with the colours of Paul Klee and Jackson Pollock, and the lines of Vasily Kandinsky and Joan Mira being particularly inspiring. Absolutely. And you can really see it coming through here, can't you? The abstraction of patterns there from natural phenomena, plant forms. The Liberty scarf, very famous. It's impossible to discuss the history of Liberty without addressing the phenomenal success of the Liberty scarf, never more popular than during the mid-20th century, a time when the scarf was an intrinsic part of any female wardrobe. Do you have a Liberty scarf? Let me know in the comments if you own a Liberty scarf. Tell us about it. I think when you walk into the main entrance, I think it's, well, the last time I went, it was in the main hall, like we saw earlier, that you see all of these scarves hanging up on the right-hand side. There was a wonderful Alexander McQueen one with the skulls that I loved. If I were to ever wear one, some of these look amazing. And here are the advertising campaigns. The illustration of a giraffe's neck, decorated with Liberty scarves with the motto, "Smart people say they can never have too many scarves." I mean, they're the ultimate accessory, aren't they, for adding colour? She bought a Liberty scarf. An improving tale. A 1930s story of the Liberty scarf. This is a woman who has bought a scarf and her life has become amazing. The correct wear for moonlight, not to mention beach dress and undress. And look how much it goes with everything. Like I mentioned before about their window displays. This one here, this provocative window display, contains several identical Venus figures floating in space and surrounded by planets. It's typical said that lacking a leading light in the modern display world makes of each window a unified composition of form and colour, symbolic, sophisticated, classically simple, or dreamily fantastic, sometimes bizarre and surrealist, but always original, and imparting to the West End something of that inventive chic belonging to the smartest continental houses. They've just got everything down right, haven't they? From the building itself to the window displays. Here are some examples of them. I mean, look at that. This is two window displays from the Prince, as in print, but sounds like Prince Charming, exhibition held in celebration of the Liberty print in the summer of 2009. In this one, the mannequins pose in window-wide crinolines made up of hundreds of samples of Liberty print fabrics, and the models in the second window lie amongst undulating textures and patterns. It looks like they're being consumed by some sort of giant print snake. Art Nouveau revisited. Wow, look at that. I mean, that must have been, the image is in black and white, unfortunately, but that would have been so colourful. I mean, a street full of people wearing these fabrics. Look at this. A fashion explosion, periods of innovation and change, frequently followed by nostalgic retrenchment, and the 1960s were no different. The culture of the 1950s had been characterised by a preoccupation with space travel, modernisms and visions of the future, as it strove to forget the horrors of World War II and shrug off dour post-war austerity. And then by the 60s, the hard lines of modernism had begun to lose their novelty, and designers had begun to re-evaluate the past. So tastemakers were eager to find the latest trend that had already started to embrace the aesthetics of a more oppressed time, with Victorian nightdresses, Edwardian high-necked blouses, and men's military dress jackets, which were later worn by the Beatles, of course, on the cover of the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. Amazing shapes. Whoa, look at that hat in the top left-hand corner. The French fashion icon and singer François Hardy wears a Liberty wool challis floral print dress and a long cape by Yves Saint Laurent. Look at the cut of that. Look at the wonderful shape. The cuts of these dresses look absolutely wonderful. So interesting, isn't it, that they've just got the prints nailed down so that they can kind of modify and make whatever they want, but be known for their fabrics and just continually reinvent themselves. So colourful. That's I was about to say it looks incredibly 80s, but it's not. It's the prompting the 1970s Art Deco revival and the Odeon style of the 1930s. Interesting. And furniture design. Wow, look at that rather space age fireplace there. A steel fireplace with metal shielding. Steel. There's an invitation to the Ringo or Robin furniture exhibition at Liberty, which capitalised on Ringo Starr's musical connections. So I'm guessing Ringo Starr, yes, has done a Ringo Starr, the musician supreme, superlative, unorthodox new designer of tables and toys via Robin Cruikshank, established designer of same. So they got together to produce a line. And here's a transcript of the exhibition between Ringo Starr, Michael Parkinson and Spike Milligan. This is interesting. The 1975 centenary, been around for 100 years, marking it with some wonderful products. Oh, look how old the Vogue magazine, the 1975 Vogue there. And it was an issue focusing included in the SS 2001 collection and became one of the best sellers, earning it a place in the classic collection for more than 10 years. I think these are some of their top sellers. The range. I like Mim there. Inspired by design created for fashion label Paul Smith and based on an archive print with a 1970s vibe chosen by them. Mim has also been used for a collaboration with the Hello Kitty brand. Oh, there you go. Mauve, Betled Embark, Mitzi, Lulu Berry. I like Lulu Berry there. Lovely bold colours. Here's Grayson Berry. Pictured here is his transvestite alter ego Claire. Turner Prize winning artist Grayson Berry produced 4 subversive fabric designs for the AW Autumn Winter 2009 collection. Love Grayson Berry. I think we'll do a video of his work soon as well. Oh, look at Thorgerson. We've got some links there to children's productions there, like the original Clarence Bean artwork by Lauren Child in the top left there. And then Mr. Ben leaping for joy and lovely Liberty prints. Dancing ladies. That Thorgerson is great. The late graphic designer Storm Thorgerson, who famously, I thought I recognised that, famously designed Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album cover, created an original painting which was developed into an iconic prism graphic for Liberty's Autumn Winter 2001 collection. My Little Posy, 11 Seas, Glencott House, Paisley Cascade, Rainbow Rose. A lot of these sound like good ASMR trigger words, right? Paisley Cascade, Paisley Cascade, Paisley Cascade. Grenville, Tresco, Joy and Sorrow, Manning. Oh, I like Manning. Dramatic scenery of glaciers, mountains, waterfalls, geysers and snow-covered fields inspired the Iceland First Scene collection for Autumn-Winter 2013 based on the sense of sight. A digital design created with photographs that the design team took during their trip. Rainbow Salad is fun. That one's nice. Oh, Jamie Oliver collaborated on it. A sense of taste. They were all pressed by Jamie and his team. Yttrium, Estabel and Annabelle, Holly, Ptolemy. Grayson Perry sketch there. Lovely stuff. More Grayson Perry sketches. Wonderful. Here are some incorporations of the print style into shirts and dresses. Check it out, Nike and Liberty have turned up, or Nike, however you pronounce it, teamed up successfully for several seasons to reinvent some of the sportswear brand's favourites in signature Liberty prints from classic florals such as Kate Ada there, to Brian Wildsmith's model planes designed for the Spring-Summer 2011 storybook collection there. Liberty have also collaborated with French brand Les Espadrilles Trompsienne on a range of prettily patterned espadrilles, including McLeod there. Love it. Some lifestyle fabrics here, lovely swatches. Catherine Copeland, Dorothy, Rennie, Wells and Herbert. Furniture fabrics. I mean, look at that. How inviting does that chair look? How inviting does that whole scene look? The hardy wingback armchair with Ianthe print. Love to just snuggle up in that with a book. A lovely coffee. Feel very smart. Look at that. Miller is shown here on Tana Dolby fabric, but is also available on Tana Crepe, a soft draping fabric created from the same fine gauge Egyptian cotton. Very nice. And here we have some posters. Again, how far have we come in the way in which we advertise things? Where we had all of these very cute painted adverts in the 1940s to the photography of the day. Well, there we have it. That was a quick flick through of Liberty, the chosen resort of the artistic shopper, says Oscar Wilde. I agree, Oscar. Absolutely, Mr. Wilde. Thank you for joining me for this read through of what is quite a lovely book, actually. I recommend, if you're interested in Liberty and the history of it, picking it up for yourself. It would be lovely if this has inspired you to go and visit Liberty, the store, if you haven't done so. So if you have an impending trip to London and you've never been, I really do recommend making Liberty one of your stops on your trip around London. It's one of those fantastic department stores where it doesn't matter if you're not in there to buy anything, it's a tourist attraction and trip of its own. Wonderful. So thank you once more for joining me. I look forward